Hi there, my name is Victoria, and in this episode I'm going to be telling you the secret sauce to make your sales meetings rock. So whether your sales meeting is online, on the phone or face-to-face, there's some really key things that you can do in preparation to make sure that you get exactly what you want from that meeting. So let's take it from the top. Whenever you set up an appointment, my number one tip is to send a meeting invite in the calendar of your choice. The point is that makes it a real thing. This can be super helpful as well. If that next conversation is a phone call, then quite often we don't put it in people's diaries. And if it's not in a diary, then it doesn't happen. It's not a thing. People forget about it. They're not there. They're busy. They haven't read the document. Make sure that you are respecting your time as well as theirs. Make sure that you always have it in the diary for your next agreed action. So if you're sending an invite, there's probably something else you should attach to that. My top tip number 2 is that you should really be attaching an agenda. This is your secret weapon, because on that agenda, you can lay out exactly who you think should be in attendance. It gives you the power to actually introduce the idea of inviting additional people who might bring value to that conversation. So what should be on your perfect agenda? Well, the first thing you need to start with is the topic, the time and the day. Now remember, you want the topic to be super compelling, but also in line with what you have agreed. So I would suggest that you don't call it something like a sales meeting, because it's a bit of a turn off. Instead, you could have something like a discussion around your marketing outcomes. You could have it down as a meeting to agree some results, agree key outcomes for XYZ project. All of these things actually are anticipating that something's already happening and it's actually got some value for the customer. So wherever you're thinking about this, think about your WIFM. What's in it for me? Because that's what they're thinking all the time. How can you build a bit of value? So think about outcomes, results, planning. These are stuff that can be really helpful depending on where they are in the process. So once you've got a killer title, make sure you also put in the date and time and ensure that you've set the expectation. If they're expecting a 15-minute conversation, you put a meeting in for 2 hours, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So make sure it's in line with whatever you've previously agreed. The next thing to add to that agenda is who is going to be attending and what their role is. This can be really helpful because it allows you to also put a suggestion in that says something like, oh, just realised we don't have a representative from IT here. Would there be someone who it would be appropriate to add to this meeting? Great. It actually allows your client or your prospect to really openly see if there's any gaps in that agenda. Next, you get on to the actual content of the meeting. And this is really strong because this is what's going to allow you to take control of this meeting and where it's going to go. So how do you do that? You start by detailing the topics that you're going to cover. So it might be, point 1, introductions. Point 2, review of current solution in place around XYZ. Point 3, key recommendations to streamline your process. The point is you want to make it sound like super cool, and you definitely want to get your recommendations in there because after all, that's the value that you are going to add. And it's also your opportunity to sell. It also allows you to close that agenda with agreed actions. And that's really powerful as well because it says at the end of this conversation, we are going to agree what is going to happen next, which is exactly what you want to take control and move through the sales process. And you can even leave a slot on the bottom for agreed options and a space to add that to. That really sets that anticipation and it works really well. One of the things that I like to do is say to my prospect when I send that across to them, I've put together an outline agenda. Let me know who else you would like to add to this meeting and anything further you would like to see on the agenda. That is fantastic gold dust for you because what that tells you straight away is when they come back and want to add something, ding, guess what? They want to talk about that. And it's much better finding that out in advance than halfway through the meeting when you've used up all your time talking about something that you never intended covering. So you're unprepared and it doesn't fit into the other conversations that you want to have. So if you set up your meetings like this then gives you key control within the meeting. I would always recommend turning up with a hard copy of the agenda. What's great about that, especially if you bring extra copies, if it's a face-to-face, is it allows you to actually keep the meeting moving. What's great about that is it means that you get to cover everything that you want to, which includes your expert recommendations and of course agreeing some next steps. So it allows you to keep things moving. So if things are starting to go off track, it allows you to actually say, you know what, I'd really love to talk about that. I'm really conscious we've got limited time today and we still have some things to cover on the agenda. Would you prefer to talk about this? Or alternatively, would you like to take that offline and we can have a separate conversation? You give people a choice. Do you want to do this now or do you want to do it later? What people will quite often come back with is, oh, it's fine. We're not in a rush for time. Ding, ding. Right. You just want more time on your meeting. So this is really helpful. It allows you to keep on track. It also ensures that actually you cover everything you want to, because it means you can literally keep referring back to the agenda and say, oh, now the other thing that we need to talk about here is ding, ding, ding. And they already know that and they've already agreed to it. This will really change your meetings and it is so simple to do. Just adding that structure and actually taking that bit of control allows you to make the progress you need in these conversations. I'd love to hear what else you add to your agendas and hear more about how you keep your sales meetings moving. So remember, you could post that in the comments. And if you are new to the channel, then remember to hit the subscribe button and of course ding that bell to make sure you're notified every time we post another video. So until next time, have some fantastic sales meetings, keep control and get to the actions that you want to agree. So until I see you next, just remember to be salestastic.